How could you? Emma was always a kind-hearted pharmacy worker who couldn't refuse to help an elderly man in need. A simple act of kindness led to her losing the job she loved, but little did she know it wouldn't go unnoticed. Just an hour later, something happened that she could have never predicted. Welcome to Tales Unveiled. Let's dive in. Emma, a woman in her late 20s, worked at Central Pharmacy. While many of her peers had prestigious hospital jobs, Emma chose to work at the local pharmacy because she had always been passionate about helping people. She also dreamed of opening her own community drugstore one day. Although her parents disapproved of her career choice, Emma followed her heart, not bothered by the modest salary. At 19, Emma's parents kicked her out of the house after she refused to go to medical school as her father had hoped. A few weeks later, she found a job at Central Pharmacy and had worked there for 6 years. Emma lived in a small town where everyone knew each other, and news spread quickly. Central Pharmacy was the largest in town, with more than half of the town's residents filling their prescriptions there. Emma was loved by the community for more than just her job. She was warm, friendly, and had a great sense of humor. She made sure that every customer understood their medications and received top-tier service. One cold winter morning, Emma stopped by a street coffee stand on her way to work. There, she bumped into Mr. Whitaker, a man in his 70s who had served in Vietnam. Everyone in town knew Mr. Whitaker's struggle to afford his medications after recent insurance changes. They also knew about his wife's passing the year before, which had made his life even harder. Emma greeted him with enthusiasm. "Hey, Mr. Whitaker, how's it going?" "I'm fine, Emma. It's great to see you," he replied. "Would you like some coffee?" Emma offered. "Oh, I wouldn't want to be a bother," Mr. Whitaker said. "Come on, we're friends." "It's no trouble at all," Emma laughed, then turned to the coffee stand worker to order another cup for Mr. Whitaker. After they got their coffee, the two walked to the pharmacy together. As they walked, Emma could sense something was bothering Mr. Whitaker. He wasn't his usual cheerful self. At the pharmacy's door, Mr. Whitaker thanked Emma and was about to leave when she noticed he was holding a prescription. "Do you need to get that filled today?" Emma asked with concern. "It's for my heart medicine," he replied quietly. "But there's a problem with my insurance. They say it'll take 3 days to fix." "Come in when you're ready today and we'll sort it out," Emma smiled warmly. Later that afternoon, Emma was helping another customer when Mr. Whitaker returned. After checking the prescription, Emma saw that the insurance rejection was clear. $175 would have to be paid out of pocket. As she processed the order, her boss, Mrs. Parker, walked in. Mrs. Parker, a businesswoman in her 40s, was known for being cold and only caring about money. She watched Emma helping Mr. Whitaker in silence before speaking up. "About the payment," Mrs. Parker said sharply. "I wanted to tell you I'd take it out of my paycheck. I just wanted to help him get his heart medicine," Emma explained. "No, Emma, I can't allow that," Mrs. Parker said coldly. "I didn't build my business by giving away free medicine to people who can't afford it. I'm just helping until his insurance comes through in 3 days, Emma tried to explain. "I don't care if it's 3 days or 3 years. If he can't pay now, you're fired," Mrs. Parker yelled. "Please, it hasn't come to that yet," Mr. Whitaker started to protest. But Mrs. Parker interrupted. "There will be no need for that. You can leave now, Mr. Whitaker." Reluctantly, Mr. Whitaker left the pharmacy, and as he did, some townspeople who saw him noticed he seemed upset. They asked if everything was all right. When Mr. Whitaker told them what happened, the news spread quickly, and people were furious. Soon, even the mayor caught wind of Emma's situation. While Emma was cleaning out her locker, preparing to leave, she had no idea what was happening outside. An hour later, the mayor entered the pharmacy, with Mr. Whitaker by his side. Mrs. Parker rushed to greet him, but the mayor turned to Emma and asked, "Is it true that your boss fired you because you helped Mr. Whitaker with his heart medication?" Emma looked at Mrs. Parker, who silently urged her to lie, but Emma spoke the truth. "Yes, Mayor, that's true. I was just about to leave." The mayor smiled. "For your kindness, Emma, the town and I would like to reward you. This is a small token of our appreciation, and we encourage you to continue being a good person." He handed Emma a certificate of recognition along with a large white envelope. Overwhelmed with joy, Emma thanked the mayor and took a photo with him. Inside the envelope was a generous cash gift. Emma couldn't believe her luck. She decided to use the money to open her own community pharmacy, and just months later, it was a huge success. The townspeople, showing their support, stopped going to Central Pharmacy and filled their prescriptions at Emma's pharmacy instead. The success of Emma's pharmacy continued to grow, and she even opened a second location. She also set up a special fund to help veterans afford their medications. Meanwhile, Mrs. Parker's business closed after losing all her customers. She learned a hard lesson, but it was too late for her business to recover. Now, when people visit Emma's pharmacy, they often see Mr. Whitaker sitting by the counter, helping elderly customers understand their medications, just as Emma had helped him. Every morning, he brings her coffee, just as she did for him that day. The true currency of life isn't money, it's kindness. You can't always put a price on kindness, but sometimes it pays you back in ways money never could.